Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to end the video. This is another paid request. It's time for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Lucas wanted me to give sort of a re-review of Uncharted, the 2022 film, especially since I will soon play Uncharted 4. Just been busy with those stuff, but I will definitely get to that Lucas as soon as I can. But thanks to him, I was able to play the first three Uncharted games and enjoyed all three games. Maybe the first would still be my favorite, but I liked the second and third game as well. Because when I first saw the movie, I didn't know much about the games. I had played like a little bit of one, but not too much. Now that I've played those three games, it makes me hate this film a lot more. A lot more. Because I see all the potential, all the entertainment, the witty dialogue, the fun banter between Nathan Drake and Sully, and the other characters, and the crazy action and spectacle, and even the you think is supernatural at first, but then there's another type of explanation in the third act of each of those three games. And none of that is in the movie. None of that. I don't know what Ruben Fleischer, the director, was thinking in making this fucking movie. I don't even know what happened to him. This guy seemed like a fresh voice when Zombieland came out. But then he did Venom and Venom. What was it? Gangster Squad, which I wasn't big on, and even Zombieland Double Tap was kind of all right, but I didn't hate it, but it was not nearly as good as the first one. Like, what the fuck happened? And this movie just it had limited action, which is crazy for an Uncharted movie. It really doesn't have that much action in it. And the bits that it does, I guess maybe the finale with the two ships being carried by the two helicopters, maybe that you get a bit of entertainment out of. But by that point, I cared so little about the characters, about the story, about the situations that really didn't do much for me. Limited action, dull dialogue, boring puzzles, lack of chemistry between your two leads who were absolutely miscast. And when you listen to the voice of Nathan Drake, which that guy is in the film, he's like on a beach. He has a little cameo. I'm like, why don't you just get him? Or hell, get Nathan Fillion, which he did that little fan film that you can find on YouTube. I know he's overused a lot, but Chris Pratt would have been a better Nathan Drake than Tom Holland. Tom Holland was such a terrible miscast, and I don't hate Tom Holland. I think he does what he can in those Spider-Man movies. I liked him in a film called The Impossible, which he did before all that. He was only in this because Spider-Man films were successful, not because he was the right fit for the role. Because a company said, well, we got this guy, and we hope to have this franchise of 3 or 4 movies, and we want a young guy so that he's young and fresh and he'll grow into the role, and by the second or third film he won't be too old to play the role. There's not going to be a sequel to this. I guarantee you there's not going to be a fucking sequel to this. Well, I lie. There are no guarantees. There's a lot of fucking films I thought would never get sequels, and I'm like, that got a sequel? Why? So, I guarantee nothing. But it shouldn't. I don't know what. I wish I could be in the room when this was set up and said, you sure you want to cast Tom Holland? Are you sure you want to cast Mark Wahlberg? And originally they wanted Mark Wahlberg for Nathan Drake. I'm like, Mark Wahlberg does not have that wit, humor that Nathan Fillion and Chris Pratt would have. Mark Wahlberg, uh, yeah, a lot of times I dog Mark Wahlberg, even though there were films of his I like, Fear, The Big Hit, the other guys. But it's because he seems like he gets cast in everything, and I don't think he's right for every part. In fact, there's a lot of parts I don't think he's right for, including this Sully. He's bland, he's flat, and he has no chemistry with Tom Holland, which is one of the primary fun bits of playing Uncharted 1 and even Uncharted 3 was the banter between Nathan and Sully. You don't get that. Warmth, heart, fun. You don't get any of that, in my opinion. And why does it have to be a fucking origin story? So tired of origin stories. I mean, we didn't get into the origin of Nathan Drake till like a bits of the third game and such, but the first two that people remember more is didn't really go much into the origin. So the first scene, you have the plane scene from Uncharted 3, which sadly that looks more video game than the actual video game. Like the actual fucking video game looks more real than that fucking scene in that movie. Which is crazy. And then it cuts to Nathan and his brother's orphans, and his brother left, and Tom Holland's character grows up, and he's obsessed with the Magellan expedition, and he's a bartender in New York, and he does some little pickpocketing. Sully sees him. Hey, I got a job for you. There's this auction. Let's try to steal this golden cross. And Tom Holland's like, I need this. I also need a cat. And the cat's now for you. And Sully's like, I don't need a cat. I don't want him pissing and shitting on my stuff. Unless this is stuff in Uncharted 4, which I haven't played yet, I'm sitting there going, where the fuck was this in any of the games? Okay, you want to be your more original self. Okay, but how is this entertaining? Tom Holland trying to do his impersonation of Tom Cruise in Cocktail. Or Mark Wahlberg be more bland and flat than a fucking painting. And dealing with a cat. Antonio Banderas is given a thankless role as a descendant of this individual who's at the auction. And you think he's the bad guy, but he dies. And I said spoilers, fuck it, it's been out for a bit. He dies with like 44 minutes remaining of the film. He's not the villain, or he's not the main villain. Now, granted, Antonio Banderas wasn't even much to do, but he's still a better actor than this other girl they got. And I dare anyone to tell me two things about the villain, about that lady. Other than her and fucking Mark Wahlberg having a goddamn fight in a Papa John's. Yes, there's a fight scene. I forgot about this. But I forgot about the movie. Papa... Well, let's work up to that. And the action scenes, whether it be escaping the auction, and Tom Holland jumps on some stuff and is trying to dodge people and fight, whether it be a foot chase where they're chasing after Chloe. Now, I didn't know who the hell Chloe was when I first saw this. Now that I've played the games and she came in the second game, now I'm watching this going, that's fucking Chloe? Chloe was such a cool, charismatic character who has a bit of a past love affair. And then you think, okay, which is Nathan Drake going to go with this one, who seems a bit more wild in the sack, or the reporter lady, who there's an off and on relationship. which that character, by the way, is nowhere in this movie. And then Chloe, there's nothing charismatic. There's nothing full on cool attitude. None of that in this. Let alone any amount of them having some type of chemistry with each other. Poorly cast and poorly written. Again, what the fuck they were doing, I don't know. And there's no real sense of adventure. You play those games, you get a sense that you went across the world and you're going through all this ups and downs, trials and tribulations of an adventure with all these multiple puzzles, like an Indiana Jones movie would. But you don't get that at all in this. They go from an auction to a crypt, and even like the puzzles, like the clues, sometimes they could be interesting in the games and make you think, you go, okay, that's a clever one, or that's an interesting bit. No, it's just, here's a crypt, oh shit, we're in the middle of a rave, and people are partying, so that Tom Holland can do his wannabe cocktail shit, and there's a little opening to go further into the crypt. While Mark Wahlberg is on the other side, because apparently in this fucking Papa John's pizza, there's another way to get into the crypt. I don't know who it was, but someone had the funny bit is, this opening at Papa John's, don't even try to put the breadstick in there. They obviously thought, wow, it's gonna be so funny, right? There's a Papa John pizza in there. Isn't it funny? No, it's fucking stupid. One of your few action scenes is Mark Wahlberg fighting a lady I don't give a fuck about, and Mark Wahlberg's Sully I don't give a fuck about, because he's so, hey, I'm Mark Wahlberg. I'm Sully. I mean, that's not Sully. He's filled with so much energy and personality, which you have none of in this movie, Marky Mark. Go back to the Funky Bunch, please. Guy has none of that in this movie. What the fuck? What the fuck? What in the fuck? So while that's happening, Chloe knocks out Tom Holland. He wakes up. And this movie cares more about double crosses and triple crosses than anything else. Than the chemistry between the two leads, than the adventure and the mystery. Like, you care so little about whatever gold or artifact, whatever they're going for. You don't care because it seems like the movie doesn't care. In the games, they make that such a primary focus of this journey. This is where we're going. The road to El Dorado or something else. This, you forget so much about the Magellan Expedition because it doesn't feel as if the movie even cares what it is. It's just, it's this thing that they're after, and it doesn't feel a sense of importance to the story. Or a sense of, other than Nathan Drake wants to find his brother, but it doesn't feel like even more of a, I don't know how to put it, just the way it's directed, there's no heart to it. There's no spirit of adventure to it. And it makes the film fucking boring and a slog to sit through. And that should not be in an Uncharted movie. Also the fact that it's watered down in so many ways. I mean, Nathan Drake does shoot and beat the shit out of people. Tom Holland, he'll fight a little bit, but it's more about just getting away. And getting people out of the way to run away, whether it be at the auction place or a little bit at the bar during the rave when he's going then further into the crypt. And Nathan does shoot. There's a lot of gunplay in the games. You did none of that. He shoots a gun maybe once in the movie, which I thought was a weird choice. They thought, oh, it's Tom Holland, it's Spider-Man. We can't have him just be shooting a bunch of fucking people. It's not supposed to be Tom Holland. It's supposed to be Nathan Drake. Let's say it's gotta be Blood and Guts or it's gotta be Rambo 4 with the 50 caliber massacre at the end, but there's a bit of gunplay in Uncharted 1 and 2 and 3. And there's none of that in this. So you don't really get a sense of danger from the villains. And whether it be the sequence where they're trying to do the third game, where you're on the plane and the cargo and he's going up, but when he's doing these death-defying things, it works better in a video game because in your mind you just think of it as a video game and all the images are consistent with each other, if that makes sense. The visuals are consistent, so you just buy into it and you're physically doing it. You just want to survive. When you're watching that on film and you see clearly CGI jump into the other, and then your mind's going, that would not happen because of the physics of it. And yes, it's meant to be fantastical, but when you saw that stuff in Indiana Jones, they're doing it for real. They're doing it practical. Or hell, when, what was it, The Living Daylights? One of the James Bond films with Timothy Dalton. That had a bit there where James Bond is hanging from the cargo and he's a lot of that's done for real, for practical. Hell, even Terminal Velocity, when you have a real car and real people holding on to the car, these crazy wide shots. You see that done, and you can't get more real than real. Here you see all this CGI manipulation, CGI stuff. It doesn't help the scene. In fact, it becomes detrimental and it just looks cartoonish. So unless you try to do a lot more practical and stunt work, then if you don't do it, then you just go, that looked better in the game, and maybe that would fit better in the game than in this movie. Okay, if you're not going to go more practical and more real with the stunt work, like The Living Daylights or Terminal Velocity with Charlie Sheen, some of these other films in the past, then maybe it's not the right choice. Maybe there's other action sequences you could put from the previous film or previous games. And it's weird, like, it's the first movie and nothing from the first game is in it. It's weird, like, let's make a movie and let's base none of it on the first game, which, I don't know, am I wrong? I would think that's the most popular game in the franchise. Maybe not, I don't know. And that's the thing, like, when you play those games, part of the appeal is, wow, there's this, like, supernatural third act, and what's going on here? You know, the Curse to El Dorado. Those were my favorite bits in the first game. Are they zombies? What the fuck? It was like intense, felt like a horror movie. Then you realize this is this virus, and this is why we can't let this go out, because the curse of El Dorado, this virus will go out. Or in the third game, there's this water supply, and no. Let's have none of that in there. Which made it seem more unique compared to other gaming franchises, adventure titles. But let's not have any of that in it. Let's just make it more generic. And that's the thing. They took Uncharted, the games, and they sucked the character, the wit, the adventure, the heart, and the quirkiness out of it. And made it generic, bland, boring filler. Just filler. That's what it was. Just fucking filler. And I don't understand the appeal of it. I just don't. I don't understand the appeal of it. I really fucking don't. I mean, I guess you say the only time it attempts to try to be a bit adrenaline pumping is after the fifth, seventh double cross. Oh, Chloe double crossed Nathan Drake. The girl double crossed Antonio Banderas. Okay, now Nathan Drake's going to double cross Chloe's and send her in the wrong direction. Mark Wahlberg, you think he doesn't care. He never cared about Nathan, never cared about the brother. But then Nathan's gonna. But I mean, you think Sully doesn't care about Nathan Drake, but then Sully does care about Nathan Drake more than the goal. So we have this finale where you have these two ships and they're going back and forth. But that felt like, in a weird way, more of a wannabe Pirates of the Caribbean with all the CGI heavy, big spectacle of some of those, especially those later Pirates of the Caribbean movies. It felt more something like that than Uncharted, but I don't know. I think of like all the action scenes that you could have give a nod to in the Uncharted games, and this is what you come up with. Again, unless it's something from Uncharted 4 that I don't know about. I don't know, just something that was a bit more practical, more real, that you have more sense of that danger. I think would have been better, at least to me. And you're just watching, going, okay, one's trying to get to the other ship. Tom Holland's fighting. He shoots a gun once. I don't think he hits anybody with the gun. Because we can't be too violent and we can't have him kill people. We can't. It's like. This watered down shit doesn't feel like Nathan Drake. Again, I'm not saying he has to be Rambo, but. Come on now. And then. He fires a cannon, one chopper, and. Mark Wahlberg saves him, and the fucking ship comes down on the bitch and slams right on top of her, and they go off, and then they have like an after credit or mid whatever to be continued where they're on another adventure, and this time Mark Wahlberg has a mustache, and they're like, oh boy, we don't see what they're seeing. But until next time, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about next time. Tom Holland was miscast. He doesn't have that charming wit, and he still seems like he's he's getting out of high school. He doesn't have that charming wit, naturalness to him that Nathan Fillion and Chris Pratt, like those guys, would have playing this type of role. Mark Wahlberg, he definitely doesn't have that good-natured ribbing. That he's lived the game for a while. He's played the game for a while, but at the same time, he's got a bit of warmth to him, gruffness, but warmth to it. You could tell he cares about Nathan, but he's got his own things to. It comes down to wit and chemistry. And those guys had it in the Uncharted games. These guys don't. Put that with boring villains, limited action, dull dialogue, bland action sequences. I keep using the word bland, generic, lame, boring, forgettable. Can anyone really sit there and go, I want to see an adventure movie? Let's not pop up Indiana Jones or even National Treasure or the dozens of other adventure movies. Let me just pop in Uncharted. Why? Just pop in the video game and play any one of those. You get a lot more merit to it. You get the third act supernatural, but it's not supernatural craziness to it. And you get better chemistry, you get better dialogue exchanges. You get a lot more action. You get a lot more sense of danger. Kill or be killed attitude. You get none of that in this. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.